The internet is broken. Business models and site design are entirely geared toward advertising and not the reader. On today's internet, advertisements are distracting, invasive, and overwhelming. In Den, the primary objective is quality content. Instead of ads, you may occasionally see a boosted post where a user has risked value to increase its visibility. Just like any other post, you can upvote or downvote to help evaluate the relevance to your community. The more engagement a boosted post gets, the less the booster pays. Depending on the evaluation process, a booster can get up to 85% of their money back, if the post is well targeted and engaging. In Den, quality content is the primary objective.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another DENDAO governance call. Today is October 27th. It is 3 p.m. Eastern. It is, I guess that makes it noon Pacific time. So we do this every Thursday. It is a governance call, not necessarily a show or anything like that. And we'll go through some of the things that we're working on, some of the upcoming things that are going to be worked on. And this is an open call to any denizens who want to come on and have a discussion with DENDAO. If you look in the DENDAO layer, there is a link to join over there. And I'll try to remember to refresh the comments before the end of the call to make sure we didn't miss anything. Or you can just pop it into chat if you're watching over on YouTube. Other than that, I'm Dave, or Distant. I'm here with Joe, and I am for I am, and Hello. Greg. And all of us are denizens with an interest in making this thing awesome. So let's talk about that. We've got a short agenda, and let's plug through it. We got some new layers. So October 2022, we had 3 new layers. We did not have anybody elect to do the fee-based creation. Ooh, so we have the 3 that won for free. And those are really good ones too. We have upcoming crypto projects, we have Bitcoin, and we have Minecraft. Those are really great communities in general. Joe, I know you and I talked a little bit about how we both used to at least go reference Bitcoin Talk quite a bit to see like what was going on and what people were working on and things like that. But that's sort of like slowed down a little bit. I know CoinGecko still references the original Bitcoin Talk threads for different projects to come out, but I don't see new projects going out of the way to make a Bitcoin Talk thread when they launch really anymore. So there could be room for like the new Bitcoin Talk, you know, that kind of thing.
And I was even thinking in terms of like, say, the Bitcoin subreddit, because
that needs a different home.
Because during the fork, it became it became something that you couldn't talk about general. Well, how do I say this? Technology that should that is very directly and definitely related to Bitcoin, that it would just get censored. So it's really bizarre.
Yeah, the Bitcoin layer itself would be great for that. I threw in, that's the only one that I've gone in and posted in so far. They only got created a few days ago this week. And so in there's a thread, you know, what should the initial avatar be and stuff, but also like what should the description be? Should there be general guidelines for what kind of content is wanted here? What tags should we have? And I went ahead and proposed some tag. I didn't propose them, but I suggested in that thread for discussion some tags to go ahead and put in BTC, BCH, BSV. Like, let's just talk about it. Maybe it's not the Bitcoin flavor that you like or whatever. Who cares? But there should be a place for discussion and conversation about that.
Well, and quite honestly, that is, I think, outstanding because it's the opposite to what happened on Reddit. I feel like I have that badge of honor for being banned in that community because I was a big fan of it.
To this day, I get, every time I try to post in those communities, I get immediately mod removed. If I go into cryptocurrency subreddit, even if it's original content, even if it's something that's literally, you know, like related to something that community might want to know about, mod removed it. Sorry, mod removed it every freaking time. So obviously there's a market for it.
I don't even
they micromanage the shit out of those things too, right? Like you go in there, you have to bow to the bot in a particular way with a particular message. Otherwise, they delete every comment you make.
Exactly.
They've confirmed until you've confirmed they've taken our view of the rules test, right?
Yeah. So
it's like the precursor to what Twitter became. So I don't even go over there anymore. And from
same
everyone, I think everyone for new cryptocurrencies, they pretty much use Telegram now. But I think this is an opportunity for Den to shine and say, hey, bring it on. There's no censorship here.
Yeah, I think so too. Unfortunately, we can't go over there and say that. We are not allowed to do that. But maybe if
Twitter is likely
know somebody
to be
over there,
vulnerable, man.
Get the word out.
Twitter's likely
That's true too. We can talk about that a
to
little bit today too, because it does seem that there's
in the Musk transition, they'd be stripping away moderation systems. It's probably going to be kind of a Wild West period while they figure it out.
Well, somebody speaking of that, somebody on Den, I forget who it was, suggested, it was in one of the chat rooms, maybe Den Layer chat, suggested, hey, there's a lot of people leaving Twitter, mostly people on the left leaving Twitter over the Elon acquisition. What are they leaving over? How can we attract those people to Den? Seems like, an opportunity at least. Now, I don't know if they're going to like the way that we do business on Den or whatever, based on the reasons they're leaving Twitter.
Where are my tools? How can I banjo? Well, that's what's going to be. Oh boy.
Yeah. The difference will be everybody who cares to show up to governance will know what's going on and be in on it, as opposed to.
Well, there's that, and there's a real ability,
right?
Yeah, there's the real ability to turn your grievances
the board is
into
deciding and then informing you
into a governance vote. Each individual community having its say in its own governance. On Twitter, one of the things you don't have is you have hashtags, you have conversations, right? And I remember before Jack left, he was talking about leaning more into that and making hashtags themselves something you could follow as if you would follow a user. And so I could tell he could see there was an issue with not having enough difference. Having communities feel like they have their own section of Twitter that isn't just happenstance kind of thing. So maybe in Den, for example, you could advertise, hey, if you want to run it this way and you want to have, whatever governance style you want, you totally make, the new Twitter layer. Call it. Call it Twitter if you want. I don't care.
They've also had a weird company politics past, right? They had the weirdest. I bet you that working for that guy would have been strange. When he was going through his "I'm going to go on a retreat" phase. The company clearly is. I mean, it's going to be I don't really care about company organization because that's not what DAOs are trying to do, but.
Well, they can do whatever they want over there. I don't really care. I
will tell you
there are limits of company organization to it, I guess.
We sat down with them, and that was the one thing they were, they admitted they were trying to figure out was communities that they knew they were not capturing any feeling of community, and that between that and health, and at the time I thought they meant say something what I would consider legitimate, for security and operational health, but I think they were actually talking about political. I think they were actually trying to figure out how do we kill the quote unquote mis or disinformation that they've defined. But
honestly, they probably need to lynch the advertiser to take it out of it. Really, when you think about it, they're probably going to have to do something we're going to make it so you can block by keyword, even though the advertisers pushed against this policy for years and years and years.
I will tell you, we gave them a good set of features that they could directly monetize, and I think they just didn't get it. But they were all related to identity.
Blocked by keyword. If they would have blocked by keyword, they could have put that on the client for something that wouldn't make the package any larger.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it could be a new pitch to Elon. You never know. Remember, they go private on Friday. It's going to be listed on Friday.
Tomorrow, huh?
Right. This could be a minor release that they could probably pull off between now and then if somebody is listening.
Yeah. I just saw that lawyer that was on Rogan with Jack is on her way out now.
Yeah. Did you see that the lawyer that was on with Jack with Tim Pool? Are you talking about that interview?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was phenomenal. Tim Pool really did a phenomenal job.
Yeah. He could have done better, but he did amazing. It's because it was just
So
everything that they were spitting out was BS. And
I didn't see those. Was there any indication in there of like how their customer base could be served better by a competitor, i.e. Den?
No, he was calling them out basically on their politics and
I say customer
censorship.
base, user base.
Yes, but on the user base. But that was wouldn't you say it was 2-3 years ago, Joe? So when you look back at it now,
I don't think it's that long.
Through a different lens a little bit. But it is I strongly recommend watching it.
Yeah, it was stark. I think if you look at it now too, because they were still at that point pretending like they didn't censor or give blue check marks to people with certain value systems. So
that's a good point. At least they don't pretend anymore. We'll see what happens after going into next week and stuff. But I'm really
hoping
more interested in talking about like.
Here's the thing.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Right,
I was like, I forgot. I totally forgot about this. My theory is that behind the scenes, and I think at least part of the origin of Musk even wanting to go and buy Twitter was literally because, and I'm going to say this up front right now. I have no idea if this is true, but all indicators are that there was known manipulation between the SEC and Twitter, which would have have affected stockholders. And I think maybe the SEC just knowingly allowed them, because in the period that Twitter and Facebook and all those other platforms came alive, the Y Combinator and a bunch of the other VCs were pushing for quote unquote exponential adoption, right? And all of their numbers, and Facebook admitted to it. They're
just like spinning up bots on cookie scrub
and
machines.
They weren't doing it. So people right now, you talk to a lot of people, it's like, it's political. And it's like, yes, it's political, but the thing that would be dastardly and illegal would be the fact that they were basing their valuation, for which both they went public and prior to that had private investment, with extreme amounts of fraud. And I would tell you, I guarantee to you that the SEC knew this.
Yes.
That's the conversation that I saw playing out.
They're building a machine. If that's true, they're building the world's largest sock puppet manipulation machine.
Yes,
that's what it is.
It's like a gigantic motherfucking marionette.
That's totally what. And here's the reason I even say that.
Like
that we had
one too. Like it's even.
We had this software.
Now.
And you're gonna think this is crazy. We had this little startup. It got a tiny bit of funding. We actually built it out. It was operational. Where essentially, instead of sending a message broadcast like Twitter, you would say, hey, I need to message just the people that are at work, or just the people who are at this restaurant, right? Mm-hmm. And so anybody there, it would be able, without them exposing their location, to show it to them. Now, here's the funny thing. We were in testing, and we didn't want to be impolite, so we said, hey, while we're testing, I don't want to be sending stuff, because we were how do I say this? You would mark people who had tweeted with geospatial tagging if they had tweeted from that same place in the near time. And so we said, okay, so if you guys are sending any tests, don't just send it to where we are, because they're going to call us out for spam or something. Send it literally to Siberia, somewhere above the Arctic Circle. Right. And so all of our tests were there. And I kid you not, every single time we would hit some person of color who was a DJ in the Arctic Circle who had been tweeting recently. It's all BS. It was just so hilarious.
So that's where you have a lot of the inside, like
I was like, it's all bots.
Honestly, you can go out and search to buy it. It's a respectable company you can start now. Is in puppeteering this shit for people.
So what about that?
Tim Pool has another theory that Elon's going to have to deal with, is that the government using Twitter to alter courses of shall we say other rogue governments, as well as
that's a 4chan
internally, like the election, etc. So he's going to be facing that knock on the door from the gentleman in the black suits who are going to say, okay, you own Twitter. That means you have to do this, this, and this for national security reasons.
Yeah, except
That's why
for
the Justice Department.
Forgetting about the leaker, though. The leaker made it very easy.
Let's try to keep this governance call if we can, so we can get through it.
Sure. Yeah, because I don't know how that's going to flow back.
To
attracting more people to DIN.
The documentary.
Right. So that's what I'm curious about: are people leaving over that, or over these things? Are people leaving over things that DIN can provide?
Well,
better for them. Is it enough that people can have a layer to themselves to do whatever they want, or is the demographic that's leaving Twitter the type that's going to want to impose their layer rules on all of DIN, which is something that we can talk about in the next agenda point too a little bit. How do we appeal to people that are sick of it and over it in a way that can benefit us? I'm specifically interested in attracting more denizens, from this kind of thing.
I think you have to demonstrate it. I think it just has to just grow organically, and people have to, when they're there, and frankly, we've seen it. We've had people come in, tout its features, and then leave in great drama on DIN already, right? So
another random idea here, just a spitball. We've been trying something at Rivet that might help in this particular case.
Okay.
One thing that we've been having an insane amount of luck with in terms of paid search results from trying to beat Infura and Alchemy, who spend ridiculous amounts of money more than we have on putting themselves first on the list that we're trying to have a shot at getting people's attention on, right? So the role of the small guy is to be scrappy about it, come up with 2 ways. DuckDuckGo plus a privacy message gets an automatic boost.
Interesting. I have thought of things
elevated over all of the other pretenders by playing privacy.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I wonder if we could crowdsource some funding to run some paid results, that kind of thing. That's an interesting thing.
Our advertising firm.
I'm gonna write that down. I'm gonna hit you up and see what you did. Actually, maybe we can meet on that.
And I can share some more of the details later. But our advertising agency having a cow over the results they're getting with that.
That's nice.
So
interesting. How'd they come up with that idea?
They're like a team that actually knows how to do this that I talk to. So rather than me trying to figure out how to hire a marketing guy,
smart.
I'll hit you up on that, Greg. That's a good point. We can talk about what you guys, if you would share, not right now, but we can definitely talk about what you guys saw and what you had to pay for it and all that stuff. Because I can totally see, DENDAO having a call for marketing funds or something to see.
Right. Yeah. Like $100 spend would do it. Honestly,
because a lot of people do understand that the value of their communities comes from how not monetarily valuable it is, but how socially valuable it is. So,
maybe we need 2 layers: one pro Twitter, one anti Twitter, so the 2 packages can.
I think they just all need to be a platform designed looking escape buttons, where it's just it looks like Twitter, the company, is telling you to escape Twitter to here, or it looks like Reddit, the company is looking to get you to try a better alternative because they've seen the error of their ways.
And they'll leak out of those layers into the other layers.
Right, but it would need to be done in a way that would get past the people who would be screening their shit. You would probably have to be sneaky if you wanted them to advertise against themselves.
So, cool. Advertising to. Where did we start? We started talking about the Bitcoin subreddit because we have a Bitcoin layer now.
Boosted posts do work that way. You basically effectively getting individuals to go and post DIN links.
Yeah, and so that's what I think is probably because you're never gonna go in and say, hey, there's a replacement for you. Tell your community about it. But what you can do is you can literally, it's Reddit's supposed to be the front page of the internet. It's supposed to be drop a link to somewhere and then people can click on the link, that kind of thing. So if there's even some original writing or content that can be taken or shared from DIN, and just don't even try to say shit about DIN. Just that happens to be where the link leads to. Hey, I read this article, and then the link happens to be a Den.Social link. then that's where you see like, oh, there's this thing exists, you know, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Maybe I'll go check it out. Especially people that are because here's what we want. I'm gonna mute you for a second, Greg. I'm sorry. I don't know what that was, but you're breaking up or something. But specifically the type of person who doesn't engage in the what we saw during the fork, right? Where even like the Bitcoin, it was mostly like what I saw anyway was, you know, this fork versus that fork, and fuck you if you don't agree, and we're going to block you because it's our layer, right? People that are more willing to explore Bitcoin as a technology, even like what Dragon uses it for as far as non-monetary stuff, not the financial transactions. An article about how, for example, just to throw something out, like how Bitcoin can be used for measurable proof. Could be an article in the Bitcoin layer. And what we want are people who are willing to talk about it outside of dogma. Because of, you know, like even I'm a little bit more of a blasphemous figure, I guess, when it comes to the purity of what Bitcoin is. But there's a lot of stuff that I consider Bitcoin, and the layer can disagree with me. But like Monero, for example, I consider Monero to be Bitcoin, right? It's kind of like it's like that's Bitcoin as a conceptual thing. So it'll be interesting to see what the layer decides is Bitcoin. I guess that's where I'm getting, and also who can bring in that.
I do agree with that. I think some of the features that Monero, as an example, that Monero has, would likely have been integrated into Bitcoin were it not so dogmatic or fearful of change. So,
right.
Anyway.
Yeah, like they did dynamic block size, for example. You know, if there's not a bunch of transactions, small block size. If we have a massive influx of transactions, block size dynamically grows. You know, interesting idea. You know, engineering wise, an interesting solution. So,
oh my gosh, it's going to kill all the miners though. They only have so much storage, and that's going to be such a huge. Anyway, sorry. I'm sorry.
So, and then there was Minecraft. So I used to play Minecraft a lot. Maybe that's Mark still think in my head, marketing wise, how can we use these new layers, that kind of thing.
Right.
I would even say that. Now I don't know if I want to run it. Maybe I can. I used to run a Minecraft server. So it could be that layer runs a Minecraft server. The Den is in the Den Minecraft server. You know what I mean? I know I've definitely got the hardware for it. I'm going to see if my internet connection can support it. But I'll talk
to my son about that. I think that he and friends still get together and play. I'll see if he would be interested in doing anything, because that would be brilliant if it was just a layer that had a server that ran.
Yeah, that's it. It's just a layer for the community who's in the server to have a layer to discuss things and talk about what they built and all that. And in the Minecraft server, you could even build out like, here's the Bitcoin layer zone of the Minecraft server, and here's the you know,
essential
like
land
city or whatever, that kind of.
And here's the EWASM environment.
And in effect, depending on where you draw the line, depending on where you draw the line on what a metaverse is, that could end up being like Den's metaverse kind of thing.
Yeah, just a Minecraft.
Interesting possibilities in there.
Why not? And the other thing too, because I had wondered, you could, you know, if you could put a mod in that would allow you even to have ID or whatever, you know, that's for future, but that's cool.
Oh, you can totally do that.
Yeah,
that would be very cool. You guys should check out well, anybody who's interested should check out the PlugF project. It's one that we do sort of on the side. It's just a Go Ethereum fork that we keep up to date that is, you know, sort of light touch adapted to use the Go Ethereum or the Go Lang frameworks or plugins framework. So you can write your own plugins with this build and we keep it stable.
Cool.
Might be worth.
I know earlier today
doing some experiments like that with.
That could be something that you and I, Greg,
custom validations
Sean,
of different types. That sort of
if
thing.
you and I and Sean did something with that to just kind of get it launched, you know, hopefully get other people to help manage it and stuff. But because we always end up talking about video games anyway, to the point where it's like maybe we should do once a month just do video game chat, you know, that kind of thing. So cool. Minecraft, Bitcoin, upcoming crypto projects. That's the new layers we've got to work with. So
upcoming crypto.
Yep. Not just us four, but everybody else on the call who's listening in. rack your brains on that. What can we use marketing wise? How can we use them? Utility wise, and like experience wise, how can we use them? That kind of thing.
I do have a bunch of Minecraft lot that I could probably give away too.
Okay.
I don't think the others I got as much, but early on I put a bunch of lore into Minecraft and I was like, oh, it finally happened. So cool.
Yeah, prizes for stuff like that. I actually was not around when the gaming layer was created, so I don't have but like 1 or 2 lot for that. But we had talked about. I do have some for Minecraft though, so we could give some away on some kind of prize or whatever. We could even create some sort of puzzle in the game, complete the puzzle, get a lot, that kind of deal.
Yeah,
cool. Something to think about there.
Oh yeah, just show up on the server, right? That type of thing.
Yeah, I know. Whenever Greg and I was talking about doing the same thing with No Man's Sky, I was just going to build a big QR code or like leave a message box that if you stumble upon this message box, it's got a private key in it or a seed phrase, awesome. That kind of thing.
That's really cool.
Stuff like that. So
I guess it's like geocaching, but it would be in game, right?
100%.
That's awesome.
Virtual geocaching. So cool.
I love it.
Yeah,
that's great.
And then the last note about those layers would be that, and this is my fault, I've just had a rough week getting back into the swing of things from traveling a little bit this weekend. I don't know if I got a little bit sick or what, but I just haven't been about it. And although the layers are live, I have not created the lot over on the Ethereum side yet. So if you see the discrepancy there, like why don't these show up on Ethereum? That's why.
It's me because I'm usually the one with one of the last signatures.
Well, it's a multi-sig, but it's a group failure.
Yeah.
So that'll be a tomorrow thing. That'll be out there. But it doesn't really matter that much, at least in the beginning. So that's fine. Otherwise,
by the way,
works. The governance is up. The DAOs work. Everything's functional. So go.
Something to bring up, we've never, I don't know if we've ever talked about it on this show, that the multi-sig is there, which is where all of the lore, I think, that isn't locked, all of the matter that's earned by Den itself, and I think the minting goes into there too, so the wallets are handled through that multi-sig. We should have at some point say, hey, have active nominations quarterly, or and vote people in and out with whatever safety controls you would think need to be there. But that would be a good thing to.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and there's always a lot of opinions about that. I would definitely not be against that. You know what I mean? It's kind of
meaning adding more signatories, or
expanding the Supreme Court, that kind of thing.
The problem we run into, that we think is going to become like a bigger problem from a policy standpoint than really a technology standpoint. There is some serious policy in the way of allowing lawyers to serve in roles that serve nebulous entities with uncertain membership.
Yeah,
right? Like that's what you need to be able to really do with DAO governance, is you need to be able to delegate to some speaker for the thing that is not the thing, so this person isn't liable to the entity that they're negotiating with, the government, right? Like,
I can
like a lawyer, we can do that.
Get that, but if you get that wrong, you will not have free DAOs for very long. So like,
I can see that at some point. Right now, I would, what I would be more interested in than that even, and maybe it's just I should be more interested in that, and I haven't thought about it enough. But what I think of is like different time zones, denizens from different time zones, so that there's X number of decision makers that happen to be awake at any given time. That can be a good, could be a reason to do it. That kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yep. We also definitely want to get you guys hardened up with the or with non-Infura flavored.
Oh yeah, so that's something. Well. And I guess since I mentioned the Ethereum side a lot, I'll just, as a reminder, if you do go in and notice that export to Ethereum thing is disabled right now. Which doesn't matter. Yeah. You can still use them 100%. That's fine. But part of that is I would love to run that through what Rivet's doing instead of Infura, or instead of, I don't know, who do we use?
I will say OPSEC. I don't want to say who we use, but we're not using Infura.
Okay. All right. Good point.
And I would prefer to use Rivet. So,
actually,
I'll note that too, since I'm going to meet up with Greg about the one
Nobody
thing.
would even necessarily prefer to use Rivet. It's more like they'd prefer to have it be in-house and easy, you know? Like, it's one of those things people want to be an appliance, and it's just not quite that simple.
Cool. All right. So next item is we've started to, this is the thing we've been talking about for a month now. So we've started to implement, after a DENDAO decision did pass a vote, we've started to manually implement some of the changes to the algorithm that will end up being this tool that layer owners can use. I think tentatively we're calling it the evaluator reputation, or the eval rep tool.
Right.
So we've started, based on some of the data that we've seen, we've implemented some rules that can be one part of that tool set. We'll make sure that works the way we think it is going to work. So we've started doing that just as a notification, I guess. And I want to say, I wasn't sure what to say about it, except that it's obvious once you look at the on-chain data, because every single action on the platform, you can see what happened, right? Without question. It's all proven out to Bitcoin, and you can look and see, here's what happened. There's patterns, which is great because we have data that we have patterns we can write solutions to. Some of those patterns were surprising. And I just want to say that if you're being petty and you're being an asshole and you're and in the process you're violating terms of service, it's a problem, and stop, right? And it's one thing if a particular community is ganging up on somebody in that layer because you just don't like them and you don't want them to be in your community and in your layer and you want to run them off. Okay, you can be an asshole, but keep it into your thing, right? When you start following people around the platform and kind of like den stalking them to gang up on all of their posts, no matter where they are, just because you don't like them, you are kind of crossing a line there where you're breaching terms of service. Like, that's abusive behavior. It's not okay. We haven't kicked anybody off for that, but I'm not saying that we can't and won't, that DENDAO can't say, obviously this is abuse, and they won't stop voluntarily. So I guess that's all I wanted to say. Just kind of like fair notice. Don't do that, right? Because that's not what Den is for. And if you don't like somebody or what they're doing, fine. If it's like, okay, don't come into our house and do that, cool, whatever, fight it out. But don't go out of your way to stalk people across different layers and run them off of the whole platform, because that's stupid and it's petty. And I don't know. That's all I really want to say about that, unless there's something else that somebody wants to say about it.
I would just like to add that you'll get out of it what you put into it as people, as human beings to one another. And if we want this thing to be extraordinary, then we had to find a new mode, because we were idle and unattended to it the last time we tried to build the thing.
Well, that's the only reason I choose
we have like these monstrous narcissist organizations, like former version of Twitter, every former version of Twitter to this point so far, and all of the other mainstream platforms. Right? Are we going to be different or not? It kind of does. It sounds corny, but it's true. It actually does kind of start with you. So,
so if I understand correctly, then even if we had large numbers, it's more of a vendetta against singling out individuals, certain individuals.
Not some. There's distinctly, so what we've seen is there's distinctly different groups of people that, like, okay, obviously this is one thing, obviously that's another thing, and I'll start looking. We'll start looking next.
There seem to be patterns of collusion in their voting.
That's how I'm essentially it. By pattern. Right. Okay. By pattern. Yeah. Yeah. Different, distinctively different patterns. And so some of them, and so if you remember, like what we're concerned about is like the way that the manipulation of the evaluation algorithm, I don't know if that's the right way to put it, but the way that we've seen like obvious issues with the way people are abusing the evaluation system, voting, right? Voting on stuff. Some of that is like on us to scale up while also being resistant to bots. That's part of the Den goals in the first place. So great, we can put that in there. But it's not going to go. Somebody asked if it previous to this meeting, somebody asked if it was going to apply to like, people are posting things and they think it gets posted and it doesn't really show up for everybody. It isn't that, no. So it's not like it's an evaluation reputation thing. It's not like a who's allowed to post thing. It's specifically about that.
Right, not going to hide. It's not going to filter or hide or otherwise change anything about the content that's available.
It's not a tape delay so that editors and revisers at fucking Condé Nast and the World Trade Federation.
No, it's about payouts, and it's about voting, and it's about evaluation, and it's about consensus, and it's about
because frankly, we end up talking about the mechanics and the sausage making behind the scenes about it, where it has to do with how rewards are split up, but the absolute end goal is. And here's the thing, I think even with our small numbers, we've effectively proven this to work, that without any moderation or paid moderation, we don't have anybody that sits there and all day long watches for, weird content or anything else. We don't have any of that. And with very small numbers of people, we've effectively directed this, even though the market, if you look at the numbers, it's the volumes, everything else is not ideal for this purpose to incentivize people, but generally that it can find the best content within a window of time as segregated by different communities or topics, and push that to the top while pushing the other content down. It's not perfect, but generally it does a pretty good job for free to do that.
It also serves another we have this like roles of the denizen ad that we run sometimes, and we also have this like Den overview thing, right? There's also something that I don't look at that much that I did look at last week when we did our metrics for the prizes we gave out for people that were doing certain behaviors that we wanted to see, like sharing outside of Den or voting in DAO and stuff like that. There's actually a lot of people that lurk Den, which is great. Right. There's a lot of people that share content like, they like something and they share it. They use that share button, they share it out. And that's not something that everybody sees because maybe they don't even vote. Maybe they don't even, that kind of thing. But yeah, it's being used and people find value in it, which is great. So just like what Joe was saying, we've proven that it works. So it's cool. It's cool. But that's really the only two topics we had on the agenda. So is there anything else that we wanted to talk about today as far as like DENDAO goes or like governance stuff?
Just growth. Growth. I
want to put
that's where my head's at.
Everyone.
What's that?
Question to everyone. A quick one here that I think is important to ask ourselves, all of us. How is Den to be positioned next to Twitter after Elon Musk, does what he's going to do? I don't know.
I don't know what he's going to do.
But I think it's pretty clear that he's going to turn off the oppression engine. The part that actually does make it so you. So
we could anticipate
on Twitter.
We could anticipate something like that. And this is kind of what I was getting at earlier. Was like, let's say, so Elon has said that buying Twitter is part of his plan for the Everything app or X.
Right. It might be worth reaching out to their team.
Right. And so a lot of people are going to leave because it changes. And it's not what they want it to be anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
So
I see it as the key being, I mean, yes, that's a feature, I think, because we're at least philosophically don't want to ban any content if we can, right? I mean, there's probably some that by terms and legality and everything else that's going to get knocked out.
The way the non-censorship solution works is that each layer has a right to censor to the extent it can.
Right. And and yet, I would say the difference is, frankly, that they were a publicly traded company. They're a big company that could make a lot more money if they would have better evaluation of content that wasn't just based on, oh, this person has 2 million followers, half of which, or 3/4 of which are fake, by the way.
Right. It's
that
all bullshit.
we have a better eval system, even at extremely low scale. If you push the scale on it, it's going to massively improve, and you'll get better numbers, and you'll be able to tune it better. And they don't have that, and they don't have any way to do communities because they're set up as a stream. It's a lot of noise, right? So, well,
that's where growth, like I am said, I had been a little bit hesitant to say like that's what we should, full steam ahead, be focused on growth and marketing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because in the back of my mind, I was like, there's this one little issue that we're currently resolving. You know what I mean? And with this, I do feel like now it's like, yeah, actually, with scale, you're going to get a lot more reliable data, like just by having more data, right? Your per capita assholes will be fewer.
Exactly.
To use the A word.
Hey, something to bring up that I hadn't. It comes into this conversation a little bit. We'd had this concept a long time ago. A concept where, let's say there's some absolute need to ban a layer. It would be much preferable to say, hey, we're not going to allow you to participate anymore here, but you are fully free to continue on as a community doing whatever the hell you want. So it's almost like a federation. We could still do that by saying, look, the rest of the DAO is going to vote to kick you out of the economy. You could set up your own economy if you want, have your own token if you want, but because you're violating terms or whatever, that's at least another strategy we hadn't really thought about.
Okay, so are you meaning like, I'm going to go back to the Civil War days. So Lincoln would say, okay, South, you're allowed to, as a layer, to go do your own thing because we're not going to allow slavery.
But you're not going to be visible in the client on ours. You
right.
still exist.
Yeah.
Right.
Someone with
you will still exist, but
you're going to be
you up. You're going to be an island unto yourself.
Right.
Yep.
Well, we have examples of that, right? We have so 4chan did that
way,
right? 4chan did that whenever they split. Mastodon's federated, so they did it even more. But with 4chan, they split 4chan versus 4channel. And all of the communities on 4chan are not available on 4channel, so they did sort of, some semblance of that. And the only thing that we have, like we do have like private layers that organizations are using that are, like if you're under NDA and you want to talk about something or whatever, and those are not in the economy. They're not part of the economy. So we have that capability built in to exclude something, a particular layer from the economy. So that could be something that's done.
I think what we should do is something completely different that might also dovetail with that strategy. So what if we did subdomains for all pages and had a .3 or 2 dots was an address in this system? This is just a thought that I had about how to differentiate it and subcategorize it once it gets big.
Can you say that again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, this is probably too technical of a question for this.
Yeah, we could probably do something like that. I mean, we already have them addressably different, so.
Right, but then you could use ENS, right, or something like ENS, not necessarily just ENS, but a decentralized name system.
So essentially,
of your own devising or someone else's devising.
But what you're saying is we technically could do that right now. We could just say a layer, okay, you're no longer part of the DAO. A DAO has taken a vote, and
right.
Yeah, you can't earn matter in your layer, essentially, is what it would be. So.
And those members in that layer that did not like that, they could come over and then recreate a new layer with almost the same name.
Right.
Or same
name.
Well, the thought was that the ones who wanted to leave would take their lot with them, so the others would stay with. You know what I mean?
Oh, I gotcha.
So you'd have to choose one side or the other, at least in my vision way back. But I don't know. Anyway, I don't know.
The answer really to me is to make Den capable of like letting people figure that out amongst themselves.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
To have that capability baked in.
Give them the tools.
Give them the tools.
I'm literally
that kind of
spinning
thing.
devil's advocate scenarios just that sound complicated.
That's fine.
And interesting.
Yeah,
to try
that's
to
fine.
find people to think about it that way. Really more than
Yep.
anything.
And necessary
Like,
too.
I'm not
Yep.
necessarily
We can do
saying
anything.
what I was saying was a great solution, but it's a compelling idea.
Yeah, and we aren't to that.
One
Just to
that-
be clear,
that
we're
sort
not
of begs
facing that
questions
right now.
we should
Like it's
talk
not
about.
that big of a problem right now, where we don't have better options. But
Yeah.
down the road, we could do that.
Yeah. So to put it in another way, so Elon says, I want to keep all the people within Twitter, so we're just going to do Twitter 1 and Twitter 2. You pick which one.
You get two different echo chambers to be awesome.
Or Twitter is just the protocol, and the client device or the client system sets what kind of content it's going to allow, and decides if there are any community level topic filters.
Yeah. Unfortunately, Joe, I think that's what is happening to society, though. We are forming our own echo chambers. I don't see us coming together and uniting and agree. We're not listening to each other. We're not even being able to communicate. Most of us don't even know neighbors' names. And so therefore, we are falling, unfortunately, into echo chambers.
Yeah. I do think we're going to come together, but I think it's going to be with blades. So,
yeah.
But anyway.
Yes.
Well, if that's what people want, if that's really what people want, then we can have echo chamber layers. You know, it doesn't have to be the entire platform.
We kind of do already. We have the Donald, and we kind of do already.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the idea with Den. It doesn't have to be the whole platform as one echo chamber. You can at least have your subcultures, that are interoperable with each other.
Yeah, I want more leftists to post in politics as an example, because I make it more interesting. But
yeah, maybe I will. Maybe that's like how do you get some of the people that are going to leave Twitter? Because, for example, I saw George Takei was saying that he's going to fly off the handle if the Orange Man is allowed back on the platform. And brother, that's whatever, dude. I
still say he's going to retweet me one day, and
But Joe, the numbers are skewed because the bots are skewed to the left.
Oh yeah,
there's that too.
So,
yeah.
I'll predict that one of the top memes of 2023 at the beginning of this going to be people overreacting to Trump back on Twitter.
I don't know if he's going to come. I think
so. What about? Well, I don't actually care if he comes back to Twitter or not. I know him.
It would be
he and
too much fun for everybody.
There's this deal with him and Kanye where he's going to sign up for Kanye's Parler, and then Kanye is going to sign up for his Truth Social, and they're going to have a little party or whatever. But the point is, there's a lot of shaking up happening in the social media website verse. Like the competition is there, and the opportunity is there to have some percentage of capture of people that are just fed up and done with the status quo on how things are done. And some people are going to be coming back to Twitter too. And maybe that's more realistic of a demographic to target as far as letting them know that Den exists, because a lot of people, I think, will come back to Twitter and then still not be happy with it and still not like it.
The other thing we haven't talked about is, for all the bots they do have, whenever we've made a legitimate functional bot, it's gotten banned. And that's before Dragon Chain, that's during Dragon. We've had our bot banned multiple
Eternal's
times.
Gotten banned too.
Yeah.
Before.
And maybe we could make better integrations between Den and Twitter that would also bring people over. Just here's a link.
Do you guys think of Den at all as a safe harbor too? Like the fact that you have all your content over on Den makes you freer to say shit on other platforms. Right?
Yep. Exactly.
That's a big part.
That's why we want to do that with the videos too. So you end up with decentralized video link that you can you could watch it on any of the video platforms, and Twitter banned it, and but you can still watch it here.
Yeah, that's critical. That is really critical.
Yeah, that kind of thing.
So you can fearlessly call out bullshit.
If I could do over,
because you know that your videos are safe over on Den.
If I could do over, I would vote for that over the, matrix of number. What do we call it?
The leaderboard.
The leaderboard.
Oh yeah.
Leaderboard and the not matrix. Now you got me thinking matrix.
Yeah,
the metrics page.
Yeah, the metrics page. I do over. I would revote. I take that vote back and put it into. Let's plug in some, video sourcing from other than just YouTube.
Well,
Yeah.
once we get the eval rep tools in, we can get back to that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
Another one to add to the list is parameterized votes, right? So that really more what you're doing is kind of structured.
Yeah, that was something that was
voting
brought up
on a
too.
set of parameters like Maker does. It's a really smart system because anybody can withdraw their staked vote at any point in time. You could go unvote and vote for a new set of settings and start arguing.
Are you talking about the same thing where like that I'm thinking of, where like you would vote on different okay, you get 5 stars for this, 4 stars
is it
for
on
that.
topic?
Yeah, is it on topic? Is it misleading? Maybe whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Well, it's already capable of doing that. The tagging system can, on the back end, take an energy bet, just like say right now the main vote is basically is this content appropriate for this community? Yes or no? How much do you think? Yeah, but the tags, we just, because of the user interface, we just took it as simple. It only takes the up or down, and so the granularity is much more coarse than the other vote. That. Yeah. So
cool. All right. So that's basically all the updates and everything that's going on.
Yeah, I have to go anyway. So
I've got some notes that I can follow up with. Greg, I'm going to hit you up tomorrow. I think I've got your Calendly link anyway. I might set up a meeting with you to talk about what we discussed today. Check out the new layers
button, even no notice, right?
What's that?
You can hit that button, no notice, if you want.
Okay, awesome. Sounds great. That's probably what I'll do then. Set up something for you. I've looked at it once before. I haven't scheduled with you, but I have seen how it works and stuff. So that's
if you started like maliciously taking time slot after time slot.
Yeah,
I might put a tamp down on it. But
okay, all right. I'll see. I'll try to find. I'll see if I run up against your threshold there. Go check out the new layers though. I recommend, even though I didn't do this, I took a step back and realized what I was doing. Maybe throw up a discussion post and say, everyone that's voted on this during the LCP, what do we want for a banner? What do we want for a tag? Maybe some people that don't have lot can propose a banner so that somebody who does have lot can make the proposal, stuff like that, because you never know what you're going to get. So go check out Minecraft, Bitcoin, upcoming crypto projects. And by next week, we'll probably be able to have some data showing, some initial indications of how well our little experiment's gone. So that'll be great.
Good. Looking forward to that.
Yeah. Other than that, let me run through some reminders. So we've got today earlier, we did World Blockchain Roundtable, which was an interesting episode. I think we wanted to go ahead and get into next month's first week episode, which was the centralization versus decentralization, because it seemed like we did a lot of talking about that today. But it's very relevant to Web3 versus Web 2 and 1, that kind of thing. So go check that out.
Good show today.
Yeah, go check out the Web3 episode, World Blockchain Roundtable. We do have a fun one. All of the new topics for next month are in. The results for that are in. So that's also in the WBRT layer. So you can go see the results, what we're going to be talking about next month. Leave any questions you have for Joe during his weekly AMA he does on Super Happy Dragon Lucky, which is hosted in the Dragon Chain layer. You can go find that post over there if it's up already. If not, it will be. But thanks just from me to you, Joe, for doing that every week for the past few years. And thanks for doing the AMA section and all of that transparency and the willingness to talk about everything that's going on. It's pretty great. I've got a show Wednesday mornings, 9 a.m., usually with I Am for I Am. This gentleman with the white hair and his tongue sticking out there on the screen, if you're watching. That's a 9 a.m. Eastern show that's a casual talk show. Sometimes I'll make a list of things to talk about. We'll look at what people have been posting to Den and just generally have a little morning talk show. And then, of course, this is the DENDAO call that happens every Thursday at 3 Eastern. Lasts about an hour, which is where we are now, up against time. So thanks for joining us. Thanks for the feedback. And we will see everybody next week. Any last words real quick?
Have a great weekend.
Okay.
Be safe, everyone. See you.
Yes.
All right.
Yep. Go to WikiLeaks and read something this weekend.
Yes. There you go.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, go read something you're not supposed to read. I hate book learning.
Pick an article on there that feels really transgressive and just read it.
Yeah, go read something that's banned
because it's legal.
Actually,
actually, it's totally freaking legal.
Let us know what you think.
I love it.
Cool, awesome. See you next week. Thanks. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best.
Adaptable, raw capital, label radical yet rational. A tactical approach is palpable if this animal is fallible, but that conclusion is laughable. So with for all detachable from the mandible, you see it now.